The jungle never stops moving, never stops watching. It is alive with whispers of life and death, with unseen dangers lurking behind every thick knot of vines and shadowed trees. But for the tigress, the jungle has become her enemy. She limps through the dense undergrowth, her breath ragged, her once magnificent coat marred by festering wounds. The lesions spread like an infection, creating honeycomb-like cavities in her flesh. Each step sends fresh waves of agony through her body, but she cannot stop. She cannot afford to stop. Her cub chirps softly, his small paws struggling to keep up with her slow, faltering gait. His mother was once a queen of this jungle, a shadow of power gliding effortlessly through the trees. Now she is weak, vulnerable, and the jungle can smell it. The scent of rotten decay clings to her fur, an open invitation to the predators circling in the darkness. Her wounds were not from battle. Something else is killing her. A disease, a parasite. She does not know. All she knows is that she is losing. She sees the spotted figure before she hears it. A leopard. It stands watching from the high branch of a gnarled tree, its golden eyes locked onto her. The tigress lets out a weak, guttural growl, but it lacks the force it once had. The leopard does not flee. It knows. It knows she is dying. The cub chirps, pressing against her side. He does not understand the silent battle happening between his mother and the rival predator. But he feels the tension, the creeping terror. For the first time in his young life, he feels fear. The tigress tries to move faster, but her legs are betraying her. She stumbles. The jungle floor sways beneath her. The leopard's tail flicks once. It is patient. It can wait. The jungle does not forgive the weak. Night falls. The hunger is unbearable. Her belly snarls in protest, demanding sustenance. She has not eaten in days. She knows the cub is hungry too. She can hear his stomach, the way his small frame trembles with exhaustion. She cannot fail him. With the last shreds of her strength, she stalks a spotted deer, her movements slow, unsteady. The cub follows, mimicking her every step. She had once taught him how to move like a shadow, but now her own body betrays her. She lunges, but the deer escapes. Her claws dig into the dirt where the prey once stood. Her failure is absolute. The cub stares at her, wide-eyed. He does not understand why his mother has fallen. She collapses onto her side, her chest heaving, her limbs trembling from effort. The jungle watches. It is waiting. Waiting for her to stop breathing. Waiting for the moment her heartbeat slows, her breath fades, and she is no longer a hunter, but prey. The cub nuzzles her, chirping softly. He does not understand what is happening, but he knows something is wrong, and in that moment, he makes a choice no tiger cub should ever have to make. He looks back at his mother one last time. She does not stir. The jungle whispers around him, the distant growls of waiting mouths growing closer. If he stays, he will die too. But if he leaves, what tiger cub has ever left its mother behind? What tiger has ever abandoned the safety of its den, of the only love it has ever known? But the cub is small, he is desperate, and he does not want to die. So, as the moon casts silver light through the trees, he does what no tiger cub has done before. He runs. The world outside his mother's warmth is vast, endless, terrifying. The cub trips over roots, stumbles into mud, his small paws sliding against the earth. He does not know where he's going. All he knows is that he must keep moving. The jungle is alive with danger. A crocodile watches from the riverbank, its amber eyes locked onto him. A jackal howls in the distance, sniffing the scent of the lone cub. An owl swoops too low, its talons brushing past his fur. The jungle does not care that he is young. The jungle only sees prey. His mother is nowhere. His heart pounds. His small chest heaves. And for the first time in his life, the cub realizes he is alone. But he cannot stop. Somewhere beyond the trees, beyond the endless expanse of predators and death, there must be something, someone, anyone. He just has to find them. And so, he runs faster. Faster! Until the jungle behind him begins to disappear. Until he sees something new, something that does not belong to the jungle, something human. The jungle does not forgive. The cub is small, his paws too soft for the rough terrain, his breathing quick and panicked. The world outside his mother's warmth is too big, too dangerous. And now he is alone. He does not understand why his mother did not follow. He does not understand the meaning of weakness, of sickness, of death. He only knows one thing: he must find help. Somewhere, somehow. His tiny heart pounds as he runs through the endless tangle of roots and shadows, pushing his body further than it has ever gone before. The jungle hums with movement, eyes peering from the darkness, teeth waiting in silence. But he cannot stop. Something deep inside him, something primal, something older than fear itself, tells him to keep going. The scent of water reaches him first, the sound of a slow-moving current, whispering between the trees. His mother had always warned him about the river. Never go near the water, but the cub is thirsty. His tongue feels thick and dry, his small body overheated from the relentless run. The river is the only relief. He approaches the edge hesitantly, dipping a paw in. The water is cold, soothing. But something else is here, something watching. The cub freezes, his fur bristling. A pair of unblinking golden eyes stare back from beneath the water. The crocodile is waiting, waiting for him to step forward, waiting for hunger to win, over fear, a ripple, a slow, deliberate movement. It is closer now. The cub does not think, he bolts. His small body just barely escapes the snapping jaws, the beast's teeth missing him by inches. But he does not stop running. The jungle begins to thin. The trees are not as thick. The ground is harder. And then, a new scent. Something foreign, something unnatural. The cub does not understand what he is smelling, but he knows this place is different. His tiny paws slow to a halt, his body trembling. His ears twitch at the strange new sounds, distant voices, the hum of something unnatural in the air. And then, for the first time in his young life, he sees them. Humans. They are larger than any creature he has ever seen. They move strangely on two legs, their voices sharp and unfamiliar. He should run. His mother always told him to run, but he cannot, because, somehow, he knows this is his only chance. And so, despite the fear, despite the trembling in his frail body, he does something no wild tiger has ever done before. He steps forward, and he lets himself be seen. The village is quiet in the early evening, the fading sun casting long shadows across the dirt roads. People move about their daily routines, unaware that something is watching them. A woman is the first to notice. She gasps, pointing toward the edge of the trees. Others turn. A child cries out. A man shouts for someone to get inside. The cub does not move. He is trembling, but he does not run. The villagers know tigers. They have seen them prowling at night, stealing livestock, leaving footprints in the damp earth after the rains. But never like this. Never a cub, alone, unthreatening. Never one that does not flee. The cub chirps weakly, barely a whisper of a sound, a final plea, a final hope. And then, one man steps forward. Dr. Vikram Sen had spent his entire life studying the creatures of the jungle, but never had the jungle brought a tiger to him. He crouches low, his movements careful, deliberate. "Easy, little one," he murmurs, his voice gentle. He knows better than to reach out. The cub does not move, but his wide, fearful eyes lock onto the man's. And for a moment, there is understanding. Something is wrong. This cub should not be here. He is too thin, too weak, and he is alone. That should not happen, not unless his mother was gone. Vikram's stomach twists. He already knows what must have happened. Behind him, the villagers whisper in hushed, fearful voices. "We should kill it," one mutters, "before it grows bigger." But Vikram shakes his head. No, because he sees something they do not. This cub is not here to hunt. He is here for help. Vikram stands and looks toward the jungle. "If this cub is here," he says, "then something is very wrong." The villagers argue. It is too dangerous. They should let the jungle take care of its own. But Vikram is firm. "We are going," he says. "We are going to find his mother." No one volunteers, but Vikram does not need them. Because when he turns to leave, the cub is already walking back toward the jungle. He does not run. He is leading them. And as the last light of the sun disappears behind the trees, Vikram follows. The jungle is no place for humans. Dr. Vikram Sen knows this. He has spent years studying it, respecting it, and learning its unspoken rules. But tonight, he is breaking them. Because tonight, he is following a tiger cub deep into the unknown. The villagers stay behind, their fear outweighing their curiosity. Only Vikram and 2 rangers from the conservation team dare to enter. They carry rifles, not to hunt, but to survive. But Vikram knows the truth. If this turns into a battle between man and jungle, the jungle will win. The cub leads them silently, his small frame barely visible in the thick shadows. Every few steps, he stops, chirps softly, listens, waiting for a response. But none comes. The jungle around them is watching. The air is thick, heavy with the scent of damp earth, of animal musk, of something wrong. Then they see it, a single paw print in the mud. Too large to be the cub's, fresh. Vikram crouches, running his fingers along the impression. The tigress was here, recently. He looks at the cub. She's close. The cub's ears twitch, his body tenses. He smells her. And then, a growl. Low, weak, but unmistakable. The mother tiger. They find her lying in the undergrowth, half hidden beneath a gnarled tree. Her body is still, but her eyes, her golden, fierce eyes, are open. She sees them. She sees her cub. And for a fleeting moment, there is something like relief. But she cannot move. Her body is failing her. The honeycomb-like wounds have spread, seeping infection. Her ribs press against her thin skin. Vikram feels a knot tighten in his throat. She does not have much time left. The jungle has already claimed her, but the jungle is not done yet, because something else is moving in the trees. Vikram hears the snap of a branch. The cub chirps frantically, nudging his mother, but she does not rise. She cannot fight. Vikram turns, scanning the darkness. Something is here, watching them, and then he sees it. A pair of golden eyes, the leopard. The same one that had been stalking her for days, the same one that had been waiting for her to fall. And now, it knows. This is its moment. It moves forward, slow, predatory. It does not fear the humans. It does not fear the rifles. It only knows hunger, and the tigress is too weak to fight back. Her cub is next. The cub chirps again, pressing against his mother, his tiny body shaking. The leopard crouches. It is ready to pounce. Vikram's heartbeat thunders in his ears. He knows that if the leopard attacks, it will be over in seconds. The tigress lifts her head, bares her teeth weakly. But it is not enough. She cannot save him. The cub will die. Vikram knows he has to act. Bang! The gunshot splits the air. The leopard halts, eyes flashing. Vikram did not aim to kill, only to warn. But the jungle does not like loud noises. The trees explode with movement. Birds flee, monkeys scream, the undergrowth trembles as unseen creatures scatter. And the leopard, for all its hunger, knows this is no longer its hunt. With one last snarl, it melts into the shadows. Gone. The cub is safe, but his mother is not. Vikram kneels beside the tigress. Her breathing is shallow. Her golden eyes flicker between him and her cub. And in that moment, he understands. She knows she is dying, but she does not care about herself. She only cares about her son. Vikram closes his eyes for a second, then makes his decision. We take her. The rangers hesitate. She is too weak. The stress could kill her. But leaving her here? She will not survive the night. He meets the cub's gaze. He did not fight through the jungle to watch his mother die now. And so, they lift her onto the stretcher. Her body is frail, barely heavier than an empty husk. But when Vikram looks at her, he does not see weakness. He sees a mother who refused to surrender, and now her son had given her one last chance. As they carry her away, the jungle does not move. It watches. It listens. It does not know what to make of this moment, because the jungle does not give second chances. But tonight, it let one go. The road back to the rescue center is long and merciless. Vikram watches the tigress's shallow breaths, his hands gripping the edge of the stretcher as they rush through the uneven forest path. The rangers move quickly, their boots crunching against dried leaves, rifles slung over their backs. No one speaks, not the men, not the jungle, not even the cub who walks beside them, silent, his tiny frame trembling. Because he knows. Even without words, he knows. His mother is slipping away. By the time they reach the conservation center, the tigress is barely holding on. She is rushed into a makeshift medical bay. a place meant for injured deer, leopards, and small jungle creatures, but never a full-grown Bengal tiger. The team works fast. Antibiotics, IV fluids, cleaning the honeycomb-like wounds that have festered for too long. But it might be too late. Vikram stands in the corner, heart pounding. He has seen animals survive against impossible odds, but he has also seen the jungle reclaim its own. And this time, he is not sure which will happen. The cub does not leave his mother's side. Not when they place bandages over her wounds. Not when she lets out a weak, shuddering breath. Not even when the sun begins to rise, and the night finally releases its grip on the jungle. He sits there, curled against her, small, fragile, waiting, hoping. Vikram watches, something heavy pressing against his chest. The cub had never given up. Not when his mother grew weak, not when the jungle tried to take him. Not even when the humans, the creatures he should fear the most, became his only hope. And now, as the sun filters through the trees, she stirs. At first, it is only a flicker, a twitch of her ear. Then, a breath. Then, a low, weak rumble in her throat. A growl, not of pain, of life. The cub lifts his head, his ears perking, his small body stiffens, his breath caught in his throat. And then, his mother opens her eyes, golden, sharp, alive. For the first time in days, she sees him, and he chirps, collapsing against her, pressing into her warmth. A sound that Vikram recognizes immediately. A sound of relief. A sound of home. The jungle does not grant second chances, but this time, it let her live. The victory is not without its cost. The tigress is not the same. The jungle's toll has changed her. She is weaker now. She will never hunt the same way again. And though she survives the night, Vikram knows. She will never return to the wild. She has stepped too far into the human world, and there is no way back. But she has her son, and her son has her. That is the price of survival. Not freedom, not the wild, but life. And for now, it is enough. The cub will grow. One day he will be strong enough to rule his own territory. But for now, he stays close to his mother. He does not understand what she has lost, only that she is still here, that she did not disappear into the earth like the others. And as he curls beside her, Vikram steps back, watching. He knows the jungle is watching too. It does not take kindly to interference, but for once, it lets them go. Just this once, and as the sun rises over the jungle, Vikram closes his eyes, because he knows the jungle never forgets.